Seems like Dana White can't catch a break these days, not even for a single second. He's always in the spotlight, mainly because of the serious backlash from his fighters accusing him of paying low wages and missed title shots. And now he's having to deal with the whole Anderson Silva episode. Stay tuned as we reveal more about Dana's latest battle and some other things going on in the UFC. Firstly, where's he coming from? Seeing Dana all frustrated and angry in front of the media is nothing new for us UFC fans. We've seen it plenty of times now. He would have probably started pulling out his hair, if he had any. Sometimes he's going after his fighters asking for pay rises, and on other occasions he's complaining about Joe Rogan not showing up for work. But just after UFC 274, Dana finally took the stand to respond to the latest allegations made by former UFC middleweight champion Anderson Silva. And honestly speaking, he was absolutely furious. Dana claimed that the promotion has always treated Silva with respect, and despite losing the last 7 of his 8 fights, the UFC even let him fight out his contract. And by the end of the post-fight press conference, things took a rather bitter turn. What the F is Anderson Silva talking about? Dana sorta lost it at that point. He almost had us siding with him for a second, but we're trying to stay neutral right now. Silva doesn't really have any proof to back up whatever he said either. So seeing Dana's frustration and anger makes us think that the Spider might just be making everything up. The UFC boss also talked about how he's never even criticized Silva for his antics inside the ring, apart from that one fight in Abu Dhabi. But what we found most interesting about the whole episode is how White just had to mention how the UFC let Silva fight out his contract. A lot of fighters just retire when they don't want to fight anymore, with some years still left on their contract. Then what happens is that they keep blasting Dana since they can't box or fight in some other league to make more money. So the UFC president takes a lot of pride in the fact that he let the Spider fight out of his contract. But really, what is the issue? After all, why would Silva say that the UFC could have handled his exit in a better way? Take a guess. It's literally what every other fighter complains about: money. Dana said that Silva thinks the UFC prevented him from making some serious money during the final stages of his career. He also took a cheeky blow at YouTuber turned boxer Jake Paul and told him he should think about fighting Anderson because apparently he's out there these days. Oh, and he also mentioned how Silva is 47 now, which is kinda strange. Like, where did that even come from? Anyway, he's still confused as to where exactly Silva is coming from. And to be honest, we're confused where both of these guys are coming from. Next, a natural entertainer. There's no doubt that Anderson Silva is a natural entertainer. And remember how Dana said he's only criticized him once, and that too for the Abu Dhabi fight. Well, hear this out. Silva was set to take on Maia for the main event in 2010 at UFC 112 in Abu Dhabi. And even though the Spider successfully defended his title, he pretty much did everything apart from fighting, and that really got on Dana's nerves. Anderson was dancing here and there, running around inside the Octagon, laying down flat, and even taunting Maia throughout the fight. That's the only occasion Dana got super frustrated with Silva. So other than that, there's pretty much no history between the president and the former UFC champion. But if you're ever on the topic of UFC greats, never forget to mention Silva. During his prime, he was in a league of his own. The guy was impossible to beat. He had pretty much every move in the book, and he really brought a lot of eyes to the UFC. In short, the UFC owes it to this guy. He has a legacy that the UFC should honor, just like how they honored DC's legacy recently, or how they always have McGregor up on the pedestal. Maybe that's what Anderson meant when he said the UFC doesn't respect fighter legacies. Maybe he also wants the same treatment as these guys, because frankly speaking, you can't ignore what he's done for the UFC. But if we're being brutally honest, Anderson was a quiet guy. He had difficulties resonating with fans, and that might have been the reason he felt the UFC didn't give him a royal exit. Was he one of the most talented fighters to step foot inside the Octagon? No doubt. But did he have the charisma to charm fans? We don't think so. What does all that matter? Well, you need to be celebrated to get the royal treatment at the UFC. And now, class from the boss. Of course, Dana didn't waste the opportunity to be the bigger man. He started off by mentioning how he has absolutely no contact with Anderson Silva anymore. But interestingly, Dana chats on and off with the former UFC champion's son. He revealed how Silva's son always talks about coming to fights. And despite having differences with his father, Dana is still all about it. He always tells his son how the UFC is almost like his house. He's welcome to come anytime he wants and have a good time. But let's not be sarcastic. This isn't really about being the bigger man. It's about his love and passion for the sport. He could have easily let Anderson's frustration translate into giving his son the cold shoulder or something. But credit should be given where it's due. And we'd like to give Dana credit for handling the situation so professionally. It shows his class as president of the UFC. At the end end of the day, even though we think Dana could possibly handle some situations better, we still sort of feel sad for him. It must be difficult getting bashed by your own fighters. Give the man a break. Time for some other related news. Ulterior motives? Could Michael Chandler have an ulterior motive? Is he trying to get some of that highly addictive Dana privilege? After his last statements about the whole fighter pay debate, it sure looks like it. Just when everyone was starting to side together and the momentum was building against Dana, Chandler goes ahead and talks about how he sees no issue in fighter wages. He thinks every fighter is paid enough, considering the scope of their job. Honestly, it's a tricky situation, mainly because we both agree and disagree with Chandler. On the one hand, he talks about how Dana probably has 10,000 sleepless nights, whilst fighters just show up on the day of action. He makes the magic happen. But at the same time, fighters are in there, putting their minds and bodies on the line for entertainment. They should be compensated fairly, don't you think? The ultimate cover-up. Tony Ferguson got butchered at UFC 274. Chandler literally stunned the whole UFC world and had fans on the edge of their seats as he landed a devastating kick right to Tony's temple. The match was stopped immediately as Ferguson lost consciousness and had to be taken in an ambulance. And these things happen. It's nothing new. We've seen guys get knocked out in some of the most barbaric ways possible. But what gets really hard is redeeming yourself after something like that. It usually starts before you even fight again. You have to cover up your loss, blame it on the light or something, or blame your opponent for poking you in the eye. You know, make up a lie to deviate attention from how you got whooped. But Ferguson surprised us all after he saw himself getting knocked out by Chandler for the first time after the fight. He used my move on me to knock me out. That's just amazing. The ultimate cover-up. Alright, Ferguson, we'll forget about how you got slapped, only because what you said was super funny. Keyboard warrior. Maybe Conor should just retire from professional fighting and take up being a full-time keyboard warrior as a profession now. He's always talking smack about someone on Twitter. Always. And he's still without a fight. He's been going after Dana in attempts to get a shot at the title, but it hasn't really worked out for him. Even fans have started complaining that his recovery is already taking too long. Now, we don't necessarily agree with that. He broke his leg. Go easy on him. But McGregor should also chill out a little on Twitter and Instagram, calling everyone out but still wanting to catch that Dana privilege. Unfortunately, that's not going to work anymore. The Notorious will have to climb the ladder now if he wishes to become the only three-weight champion in the history of the UFC. That's it from our side, folks. So what do you think? Did the UFC really mistreat Anderson Silva, or is he making it up to stay relevant? Will he ever get inducted into the Hall of Fame? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Remember, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more exciting videos in the future. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.